So how are you guys doing today?
Doing well, how about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Well, I asked you guys to come together, and I think it would be great to just talk about the Nitro Bootcamp. Long time running idea that we've been, as you guys know, we've been working with JP Morgan Chase and our peer organizations like the Chamber and the African American Chamber and the City of Cincinnati to really create a program for small businesses. So I know we're known for startups, but this is a unique proposition that we're trying to create for small businesses, particularly women-owned and minority-owned businesses.
And I think when you talk about startups and you think about the technology that enables a lot of those startups, that a lot of times small businesses don't consider themselves startups because there's no technology as part of their underlying premise or business model. So that's one of the things that I think the Nitro Bootcamp is intended to bring about, is this application of sometimes free, sometimes easily accessible technologies, whether it's software, whether it's something to manage your database or to have video conferencing. And that's what I think is a cool thing, is it brings that accessibility to a whole new set of entrepreneurs who didn't think that they had anything to do with tech or tech enabled.
Yeah. And if you think about the pipeline, where all possible ideas on a paper towel or paper napkin or something that your buddy created or something that you did a business case study, all those ideas on top of the funnel, I think it's a real opportunity to start thinking about and reaching out to the small business community that have traditional businesses, have 3-4 years under their belt, and they really aren't necessarily thinking about how to enable their business and start thinking like a startup to have that incremental growth. Whether that's one more location or increasing their region in terms of where they get their sales, how to use technology that sometimes is either financially outside their reach or just they're busy dealing with keeping their business going, that they don't pause and say, how do I provide growth to my company, leveraging available technology?
Yeah, I think you and I were talking about that a bit, right? So, the entrepreneurs I know who, have started small businesses, they do it with a goal in mind, right? And they get to that goal, and they're fine with that, right? So programming their mindsets to understand how technology can help advance that goal or take them to the next level, right? Because there always is a next level in business, and I think that's what Nitro will help with as well.
Because I always use the example of, and I know I'm going to get called on it one day, and that's who was the used car dealership that came up with Carvana. So they know that business inside out, but with the power of attaching technology, existing technology, and I'm sure there was probably some customization work that they did, but they didn't reinvent e-commerce. But they were able to take that model, add it to their framework, and then now they're probably the most popular way to buy your used car these days.
Absolutely.
And I think especially when we talk about this specific demographic of underserved entrepreneurs who feel like technology is intimidating or it's not for them, or they're just going to have to build their business without it, because we're not talking about yet, at least we're not talking about augmented reality or haptic touch screens or any of that sort of stuff. We're talking about just simply applying some open sourced technology platforms, software platforms to your business. When you launched CrownMob, did you know how to build a website or talk through about, was that intimidating for you? Did you feel that you were technologically advanced enough to go down?
Not at all. I took months searching for the perfect co-founder who had a tech background. It was very intimidating, extremely. I come from a sales and marketing background, so that's my wheelhouse. That's what I do very well. And it took some tech guys to help me understand that the possibilities of that space, right? And what technology is, not only looking for a technical co-founder, but what technology I can use right now to build a MVP or to build a wireframe to get me to that next level, right? And I think that's what we're talking about, is the next level. What I'm also excited about, within business, there is life as well. So some of the resources that Nitro is using from tech partners are just resources that I've used in my business to help me balance my life, right? So Trello is one of those, right? Example, keeps me organized, right? So that I don't spend 6 hours in the evening trying to get organized for the next day, and I can actually go to dinner with my wife or hang out with my friends and have that perfect balance because
Or fall asleep at night.
exactly because within business we need a balance, right? You'll get burnt out pretty quick. So some of these entrepreneurs, I see them, maybe the next level of business is not what they want to do. Maybe they don't want to open up a second location, but maybe they want some more free time. Maybe they want to take their kids to practice in the evening. Some of the resources that we're using on the tech side will allow them to be able to do that.
I think that's a great idea, point, because even having the power of all of the inventory, pricing, scheduling, on the power of your smartphone. So how much does the smartphone take it over our life? But my question is, or the challenge is, are small businesses even using current technology to manage their business via the simple use of being on the smartphone?
Sure.
So you could be at your son's basketball game, understanding what your appointments are.
Exactly.
At the use of your smartphone.
It's all within the click of a button.
One of the companies we're looking at that's going to be participate is Gusto, and they're about doing hiring. Can you put out your posting for your job, review their qualifications, and have conversations with them all off in an app, as opposed to all the time it takes to kind of interview that person to be their laborer or your next salesperson or whomever you might be looking for.
It's important.
So what type of businesses do you envision that this would be good for? Like, you just want to talk through that from a solo entrepreneur to 4 or 5 person small business.
Well, like a good data junkie that I tried to be in my former life of being a P&G, research shows that one of the fastest growing impacts to the economy is minority small businesses. It's not where the next Amazon is going to locate. It's the small businesses that are going, whether it's an employment challenge or them not wanting to join up with corporate America or them taking over their family business. The biggest growth in terms of the economy is going to be from minority small businesses. But the challenge is that only 2% of all small businesses ever reach beyond $1 million in sales. So what JP Morgan Chase is really excited about doing is reaching out to minority small businesses and women-owned small businesses with $100,000 or more, at least 3 or more employees, and have been around for at least 2 or 3 years, so they understand their business challenges, to be able to attract those as this pilot program to really take them to the course and really see with augment of using this type of technology, do they see growth? And quite honestly, I mean, they may not say it outright, but going through this process makes them a lot better candidate for getting loans and capital funds that they need, because now they're showing the efficiency and effectiveness of their business in terms that a JP Morgan or a similar bank can appreciate.
And they know what the gaps are, right? I think that's half the battle.
So it sounds like something that we should offer to, or should be applicable to, a bunch of different small businesses, but how narrow is this field going to be? How many people are we looking at for this?
From the wise advice we got in terms of really wanting to find the small businesses that are excited, they're already thinking about, I want to grow, I want to do different, I want to catch my son's basketball game more often. A small business is thinking, I'm ready for change, I'm ready for being exposed to ways that are going to enable me to be more efficient, more effective, or even grow my business. And we think in terms of a classroom setting, kind of like you think about going back to higher education where there's courses and syllabus. It's not going to be this big room off of a PowerPoint presentation where you get this guy talking about their technology and maybe you're paying attention, maybe you're not. It's really, we're looking for 20 to 25 small businesses in the greater Cincinnati region to spend a day with us on February 23rd here at Union Hall, and there'll be some great speakers in terms of the importance of small business and tech to small business and how to use tech to small businesses, and those small businesses will break out into small sessions and have hands-on education, access to technology. The grant's going to enable us, in partnership with Centrifuge and JP Morgan Chase, to actually cover all costs of that software for up to a year. So whether it's video conferencing, whether it's being able to create your own app for your company, you're going to get all that for free, paid by the grant, in sponsorship with Centrifuge. I think we're even going to be able to throw a 30-day membership at Centrifuge in terms of enable you to network and really feel what it's like to be a startup. All of that for 20 to 25 small businesses. And I think applications, we're extending applications to December 21st. So really wanting to try to get as many women and minority small businesses in the greater Cincinnati region to take advantage of this program.
So going back to that original question of what kind of companies are you looking for, I think we also have to consider what kind of entrepreneurs are we looking for, right? And I think a big part of that is we need entrepreneurs who are honest with themselves and their business, right? Who are not afraid to exploit the gaps, right? In their business. That's the only way that this is truly going to work, right? If you come in with honesty and you say, hey, this is where I need help at, this is where I know I can expand at, and then allow us to be able to help with some of those issues and problems, take your business to the next level, or just enhance your business or enhance your life.
Yeah. One of the things you had mentioned to me, Rico, was some small businesses might have heard of Nitro, have heard of Centrifuge, but they immediately say that's not for me. How do we address that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're doing it right here, having a conversation, right? And I think, quite honestly, I don't see this as a program that's going to end off the first one, right? I see this as an ongoing thing, right? So obviously, it's a partnership between the entrepreneurs, the companies around this area, and us, and making sure that we're offering that level of value that they need, right? And I think at that point, organically, word will spread, right, of the good work that's going on. So. But it's a shared responsibility. You know, we have to do what we have to do, and the companies and entrepreneurs need to do their part. Together, we can make some pretty incredible things happen.
Entrepreneurs, tend to be pretty honest and sometimes pretty hard on themselves, and sometimes at the same stretch pretty ambitious, and their eyes may be too big for their stomach. But how are we going to, one, keep them engaged after this one-day boot camp? And two, make sure that they are that it's working. Right. So I just want to talk through some of the check-in process.
Good question. I mean, that's one of the things that both I think as a Centrifuge organization, as well as JP Morgan's interest, as well as one of the driving principles of why these tech companies are excited about participating is being able to track and to get real feedback from these 20, 25 businesses of, does the software work? Did you use it? Why didn't you use it? How effective did you use it? And it's not like some of the data that we'd like to know before the program is the size of your business. What are some of the challenges that you have? What are your sales in terms of general terms, to be able to say over the time, and we'll be doing check-ins, I think every the first 90 days, 6 months period, then kind of the 9-month period of, is it working? Did you grow your business? What are your challenges? And hopefully we and the small businesses that participate, as well as JP Morgan, say, wow, this was an effort, something that was well invested in. Let's keep this going. Let's do boot camp number 2. I think continuing to even graduate the participants in the first boot camp, they may be ready for that next level. Okay, now I'm really ready. I want to be a startup, so let me understand how blockchain works. Let me understand about these other things of applying technology not only to the operation of my business, but then my actual product, my actual service. And I think that's where in Centrifuge would be like, we're ready for you now. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think this is fantastic, right? But I think the follow-up is as crucially important as the initiative, right? Because as an entrepreneur, we get busy, our judgment gets cloudy, and when all else fails, we go back to what we know, right? So I think that follow-up process is going to be key. I think it needs to be, I don't know how we make that happen, but I think it's going to be just as important as the boot camp itself, if not more important. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be, it's a great question, Eric. I think it's going to be an ability to set up a process to where these small businesses almost feel like they're in a class together. Yeah. And that they now can share and trade stories and experiences. There may be a company that has gone through leasing a location, and now should they buy or sell or what have you, and there may be another small business. I've got that. My issue is employment and human resources. So I think there's
like
an ability to even have a cohort. Wasn't there an organization years ago that may still be going in terms of they had a program that the city sponsored of creating leaders, and they kind of took people from social, corporate, and they all came together and learned how to be leaders and impact the city?
Yeah, Leadership Cincinnati, I think. Clever name.
Maybe this is what this becomes in terms of creating that tight network of small businesses.
One of the things I want to bring up is just the intentional nature of this from a diversity and inclusion initiative. That a lot of times, and from what I've heard, and the longer that I'm here and literally working out of this building, is that this is intimidating. this world that we're in of startups, of venture capital, of technology, of tech stacks, of acronyms and all that sort of stuff. And people don't even want to come in the front door because they feel like they're not welcome here. They feel like they're not, that they're speaking, literally speaking a different language. So no matter how many meetups we try to have, or how many times we try to just literally open the front doors, it's like, I'm not welcome there because I don't understand my way around. I think it's events like this boot camp that are an opportunity to say, come today, because no one knows their way around. So be with, like your cohort idea, be with other people who don't have this technology thing figured out. Be with other people that you can ask and like, I really like your website, how did you do that? Well, I just figured that, really? You wing that together, or you did this together? So that's what I'm really proud of is the intentional nature of this boot camp, to be an outreach to say, not just all are welcome, but everybody who's coming here doesn't have all the answers.
Yep.
Right? If you think they do, they're fooling you. And any of these other meetups are kind of the same way. That they're just throwing some things out there to just see how this sounds when it comes out of their mouth. But this is trying to be the opposite of that, which is a real open and a real opportunity for people to share what they don't know and learn together new stuff.
Yeah, well, it's magic, and I know from experience, it's magic in knowing that you're not the only one having a specific problem.
Yeah.
Or that you're not the only one who has stalled out or don't get what goes on within these walls, right? When you walk in with an entourage of folks who are on that same path, it's magic in there, right? And I think that's another thing that Nitro organically is creating, right? Whether that's the intent or not, I think it's happening organically.
So let's think about this for a second. If we could forward this video on to, let's say that somebody's watching this and they are, they know that there's a buddy or a cousin or somebody who runs a business, and they've stumbled across this video and they're like, who would really benefit from this is Charlie, because Charlie's always busting his head again. He doesn't know how to, or doesn't think he knows how to. Can we just run through, because I think that's what we want to do, is come up with, okay, African American Chamber, you've got hundreds of people in your roster. Certainly there's somebody there who could benefit from this. So what are those one or two? And if it doesn't come through those avenues, then somebody knows somebody who's got a small business that says, let me just send this to Rico. Does he know about this? Does he know about this? So like what would that look like? Drowning in spreadsheets, drowning in...
No, I think it's what we were able to do very quickly from input is put the applications on the website. So it's startupcincy.com/Nitro. And I know we talked about the provisions of $100,000 3 years. Those are guidelines, but I think we want to find the right business, to your point, Rico, in terms of I'm ready to grow. And
growth.
I know what I know, and I think I know what I don't know.
Yep,
and
I agree with that. I agree with that. Growth, desire to grow. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'll get a little more detail just so that the example is mapped out, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's for me, Rico, who comes across this video on Facebook or wherever, and my buddy Richard Allen, who owns a barbershop on McMillan Street in Clifton. He's been there for 6 years now. Yeah, been there 6 years now, doing very well for himself. Got 6 barbers in a chair. It's a cash-only shop, right? I go to Rich because he shaves my beard really nice, and obviously I like the services, so I deal with that. But I know for a fact that there are customers there who don't. I see the college students walk in all the time, the cash only, right?
It prevents them.
It prevents them from growing, right? So that 6-man shop can be a 9-man shop overnight, almost instantly, if they use the technology that would allow them to swipe credit cards, or technology that would allow them to not even have to swipe credit cards and maybe book online and have a card store like a style sheet or something along those lines. So I want to be very clear as to the kind of entrepreneur or company that we're looking for. Now that's specific, but that's what we're looking for. Places where someone like me who watches the video can see it. I see a need with someone that I know.
Right.
Forward it to them, zap them right away, because the whole goal of this is to take their business to the next level.
So if you have questions in accounting and billing and payments, or if you'd like to take it to the next level, I've heard about this cloud and how to download from the cloud and store documents and files in the cloud, how to do that. Inventory and shipping in terms of counting how many bottles I have on the shelf versus hitting an app and saying, I know how many, and I know when they sold, and I know the price point, I know what I'm going to inventory. It's how to make what you're doing already, leveraging technology to make it easy.
Absolutely.
We've talked a lot about having this program like be a bridge from program to program of, somebody who they already have the idea.
Yeah.
And they've already, been motivated to get up off of their butt and get out there and follow this dream. But they're not so sophisticated yet to be looking for either external investors or even friends and family to ask for more. So I think that I keep coming back to the growth is something that they got to have their hand up, or you have some passionate person has to be on the other side to say, I know you can be better. I know you can do, and it's not going to take a whole lot.
Yep.
But let's talk about that from a what doors will open, not just increased business, but from a funding standpoint. Is that fair to say? I mean, I don't want to make too speculative of statements like go to this boot camp and you'll see VC dollars. But I do think that, so I'll just kick it off. I think that having technology as an underlying component of your business model is almost a given when you start to ask people for money, because it's that lowest common denominator of how are you keeping track of this. If you're keeping track of it on the back of a napkin and you're keeping track of it on an Excel spreadsheet that shows me this and I can see progressions and years and all this sort of stuff, then you could both be accurate, but I'm going to lean towards that more traditional format of this is how I'm used to seeing this information. And back to the intimidating factor, I think there's some underserved entrepreneurs who just can't make that jump up to that level and need to be, really that possibility has to be open to them in a deliberate way to say, I'm going to teach you how to do this.
I'd have to imagine, I've only been a banker a short time in my early life, but I have to imagine having a conversation with two small businesses. Both are excited about what they've accomplished in terms of taking over their father or mother's small business or creating it from scratch to say, here's a small business who's looking for a small business loan that I believe is largely driven on what capital do you have to link this loan to, but then what ideas, how efficient is your business, where are you going to grow, what's your business plan, how are you effectively growing your business and getting more customers, and someone who comes in that proposition with technology as a foundation versus someone who just has a good sales pitch and a box of receipts. I know what the banker is going to lean towards, and I think that's part of the underlying reason why Chase Morgan Bank is supporting this is because if this could be a conduit to getting better companies that they can feel good about giving loans to, because they've made that leap in terms of really taking their business to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it a step further. The difference between generating $250,000 in annual revenue at your barbershop or your salon or your restaurant or your dog food store and bringing in technologies that can get you closer to $400,000 in revenue without having a whole lot more input or output, I should say, or money going out the door, I think is just simply more attractive to any type of funding connection that you can ever make, whether you're going to raise investment dollars or you're going to seek out a loan or you're going to friends and family route and you're going to ask someone, hey, I want to open up a second location. Would you be willing to join this venture with me from a financial standpoint? I think it's just it's cut and dry.
Even if you have to bootstrap it yourself, every hour saved that you're thinking about that growth as opposed to putting out a fire, every penny you're saving because you're able to buy goods or supplies at a lower cost because you're enabling technology and networks that you didn't have before to get a lower price point on your supplies, to be able to get a bigger margin on whatever your output is, all that could be invested into the growth of your business. And not necessarily depending on a new loan.
Sure.
This is for the small business community.
Sure.
And I hope that they see that value. Applications due December 21st.
Where else would you have gotten this information from were it not for this boot camp? If you're an entrepreneur, how long would it take for you to get immersed into all of the stuff that we're going to throw at them in a manner of hours?
I'd imagine quite a bit in terms of maybe it's a year. I mean, they have a conversation of you want to develop an app. Every business we've talked about in terms of if you're a caterer or a barber or selling clothes as a retail store or a contractor or janitorial services, an app could open you up to more customers. And do you go and rent a book or download a book from Amazon and learn how to build your own app?
Yeah.
Do you pay a developer who says for $10,000 I'll design you an app? Or do you come to Nitro boot camp and spend a half a day or day with us on February 23rd and get all that done for you free?
Yeah, I'd say at least a year.
That's just one.
I'd say at least a year, right? And it really just depends on what I believe, how early you are, right? And I don't like that term, but that's a real term. And the reality is that you're going to spend your first year, 2, 3 just learning how to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
So depending on where you are, I mean, I'm still learning, and I'm in year 2. I'm still learning about resources available to me that can make my business run faster or make my life easier, help me sleep at night. So yeah, year minimum, but that number can increase pretty rapidly, just depending on that entrepreneur.
Yeah, because you got to still run your business.
Got to still run your business.
You can't learn something new while you're trying to do all this
Absolutely.
other sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
So it seems like we've got a lot of resources, a lot of help to find those resources.
I
You
think
mentioned
so.
some of those. The African American Chamber, HCDC's involved. The city of Cincinnati and their minority business office.
The Urban League,
Yeah.
Hispanic Chamber. We're partnering with Aviatra to get a ruling to women's small businesses.
Awesome.
Make sure that they're part of that.
So the word is out,
Word is out.
and we need to, continue to make sure that the word gets out for this once in a lifetime. But this is a pilot. I think it's safe to say that if this goes well, JP Morgan Chase is going to want to do this not just again in Cincinnati, but to expand this model out.
Yeah,
Right.
I think so.
And it's pretty cool that. And one more question is, why do you think Cincinnati is right and ready for this, to focus on this group of a subset of entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurship is tough anyway. We all know that. This is almost an impossible field that you've chosen to go into, and to be an underserved entrepreneur is even tougher. So, but what makes Cincinnati right to be able to say, no, I think we can get a handle on this, and I think we can actually dedicate some resources to help. What do you think gives us the right to say?
I think it's the unique role of, I'll be kind of selfish, I think it's the unique role of Centrifuge to say if we want to continue to be the ambassador of improving and growing the economic development of our city and our region, we're doing it a few ways. Most of those resources have been focused on startups and tech startups and working and partnering with the major corporations in the city and partnering with the universities to figure out what are they doing in terms of talent to get the college students internships and jobs if they don't necessarily want to go work for a big blue. They want to work for a startup. I think at least my belief is there's a hidden gem that we're overlooking, and that's small businesses who are at that point where they're like, I want to grow. I want to enjoy this whole growth startup phase that's happening in Cincinnati, Startup Cincy. And it may be that they don't think that when we talk Startup Cincy, we're not including small businesses who are really the vibrance and bloodline of OTR. I mean, if you look up and down OTR,
Sure.
it's not startups,
Sure.
it's small businesses driving this growth in terms of just OTR. And is this an opportunity, to your point, Eric, earlier, is it's not only an open door red carpet to come on in, but come on in for programs and services specifically designed for small businesses.
So I'll piggyback on that. But I personally I think Cincinnati, the people in Cincinnati, whether you're a native or not, I think we're in a time period where grit is at an all-time high, right? The conversations that I have with people that I don't know, strangers, friends, family, it's at the top of everybody's mind. Everybody is looking at what they can do or what they will do when it comes to entrepreneurship. Whether they do it or not, it's at the top of their mind, right? My mother, who's in her 60s, the first time wants to be an entrepreneur, right? So that grit and whatever's taking place here, just that magical grit, I think is what makes Cincinnati a great place to pilot a program like this. And I don't know what that is, but it's a chemistry going on, and we can't ignore that.
Yeah. I think, when you look at, and again, back to the venture capital, statistic, that's one barometer, one measuring stick. When you look at a national scope, 1%, only 1% of all venture capital dollars in the United States, 1% went to African American founders.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati, we have 5. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
There's something happening here that, and I think it is a factor of grit. I think it is a matter of resources and finding that fertile soil to say, I want to explore this, I want to try this out, and I think we embrace that and give entrepreneurs an opportunity to succeed or fail, and through efforts like the Nitro Bootcamp that we hope will increase their odds of success.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys. This was awesome to just talk about what I think could be a very vibrant program for minority and women small businesses. Just to pay the bills, applications close on December 21st. We'll be making decisions over the holidays and giving back to not only the tech partners and having a clear roster of this Nitro tech stack that we're going to provide the companies that participate. And then the event's going to be on February 23rd here at Union Hall next year. It happens to be W.E.D. Boyce's birthday. We need to figure out what that looks like.
He got a great panel moderator too. What's his name?
Denzel?
Rico. Rico, yeah, that's him. Good stuff.